2025 has been a record-breaking year for both Virgin Voyages and us here at VV Insider. Not only did more people than ever sail on Virgin Voyages, we also saw a huge uptick in the amount of people using VVinsider.com to plan their next Virgin voyage. So we've been poring over the data that we've received about what our most popular content has been this year, and we're going to take a look at those stories and how that's changed Virgin Voyages and what that means for the future. We'll also be looking at how our tools have made your plans even easier, and what's more, I'd like to give you all an insight on how these stories come about and how they're received by our audience. So come along as we take an inside look at Virgin Voyages 2025. VV Insider is the #1 resource for the latest Virgin Voyages info, guides and news. From picking the perfect cabin to booking dining, or simply just making the most of your voyage and saving money while you do it, VVinsider.com has helped thousands of sailors around the world sail smarter. Support our work by hitting subscribe and stick around to hear how you can get exclusive perks by booking directly with us. So we all know 2025 was a huge year for Virgin Voyages, and it turns out it was a huge year for our VV Insider sailors as well, with our bar tab calculator tool alone attracting 3,000 hours of usage over the year. That is a lot of bar tabs and a lot of people making sure they have the right bar tab before they go on board. We also saw hundreds of thousands of people checking that their cabin was absolutely right for them before they sailed by using the VV Insider cabin lookup tool. And another one of the most used tools on our website are the restaurant and bar menus. And again, the data here shows that hundreds of thousands of sailors have been checking out what they're going to be eating and drinking before they step foot on board. Remember, all of these tools are free for everyone to use. So if you want to get planning your voyage and be prepared before you step on board, head over to VVinsider.com to visit those tools. Aside from the free tools that we offer on the site, we of course cover the big stories of the day when it comes to Virgin Voyages. This year alone, we've covered over 300 different Virgin Voyages stories. And as you can imagine, some of them resonate with the audience more than others. So we thought it would be interesting to count down the 5 top topics of the year and take an insider look at them about how they came about and how they were received by our audience. So starting with the 5th most popular topic, and this was all around the introduction of a trial for a drinks package called Drink Like a VIP. Specifically, this is a trial for a drinks package on Virgin Voyages ships, which is $95 per sailor. This was a very limited trial that happened earlier this year. It was originally introduced on Valiant Lady sailings in March 2025. And it was limited to only rock stars. Of course, mega rock stars already have included drinks, so just rock stars this time. And the idea here is that you can order 2 drinks per order, and this included all drinks at every bar up to a $20 limit. So this behaves a little bit like a traditional drinks package that you might see on other cruise lines. We originally reported this on the 19th of February on VVinsider.com, and it's fair to say the reception was fairly mixed. Somewhat surprisingly for me at least was to see a lot of negative sentiment around the fact that there might be a drinks package introduced on Virgin Voyages, with a lot of sailors actually preferring the pay-as-you-go style, not least because some people found that they can keep control of their spending better that way. But there was quite a lot of concern that an unlimited drinks package like this could spell bad things on board and could lead to a lot of bad behavior if people were overserved. But on the other hand, some sailors say that they prefer to have a drinks package like this when they sail so that they know exactly how much their cruise is going to cost without having to figure out how much bar tab you would need or figure out how much you're going to pay if you pay as you go. But despite a few concerns, Virgin Voyages ploughed on and ended up extending this trial on Valiant Lady in April and March as well. But since we reported on that back on the 31st of March, we haven't heard anything else about this being extended to any of the ships or any other sailings. I do think it is quite an interesting proposition and something to watch out for in the future as we head into 2026. Do we think we might see a drinks package on Virgin Voyages that will roll out to the entire fleet? Let me know what you think in the comments. Moving on to our number 4 top topic, and this was all around the introduction of both Voyage Fare choices and gratuities being separated out from the Voyage Fare. Now, if you've been following us along over the past few months, you'll know that this caused a lot of controversy when this came about. For those of you watching that are unfamiliar with this change, the voyage fare that's offered by Virgin Voyages changed quite significantly back in October this year, where previously Virgin Voyages had one voyage fare choice for every single sailor. There was a change introduced in October that gave sailors the choice to choose between a base, an essential, and a premium fare, each with their own limitations, flexibilities, and perks. Now, it's interesting how this news unfolded. We were originally given a bit of a heads up to get some information and some materials ready to show everyone and tell the story about how these voyage fare choices were going to work and make things as easy as possible for people to understand. Now, of course, we diligently did this, and if you watch that video of ours, you'll understand how easy we set it all out and how easy we made it for people to understand. Unfortunately, on the day that that news broke, it actually came out on Reddit an hour before we could say anything. And what happened was a very garbled mess of misinformation, blurry screenshots, and a lot of back and forth in the comments and a lot of confusion that followed. Now remember, when this was all going on, we were poised with our diagrams and our video to explain all of this to people, but we couldn't do anything about it for a whole hour. But needless to say, when the embargo lifted and we were able to release the information, we did smooth things over as best we could, with many of our viewers praising our simple and straightforward information around the topic. Some of this was a little too little too late, and a lot of damaging misinformation was spread. However, we did release a follow-up video myth-busting a lot of the things that came from that very messy period of time when Reddit was going crazy. Well, we saw a huge amount of people flock to VV Insider to gain that clarity, and we're so glad that you did, making this one of the most talked about topics on our site at the time. It's now been a couple of months since those voyage fare choices came in, and from what we can see, things have settled down a little bit, and people understand a little bit better now what those differences are between the voyage fare choices. But I'm not naive. I do know there are still many opinions flying around that topic. So if you do have any more opinions on that topic, let me know in the comments. Moving on now to our topic number 3. So this year, there was lots of changes to do with the food menus on board the Lady ships, with new menus being introduced to restaurants across the fleet. In particular, changes to the menu in Gun Bay, with many of our sailors giving their opinion on the new menu. From what we've seen, the new food at Gun Bay has been received very well, but there will always be a few sailors that long for what has been lost. So if you do feel aggrieved that the Gun Bay menu has changed, let me know in the comments what you're missing the most. As ever, whenever the menus change, whether that be restaurant menus or bar menus, we try to stay on top of those changes as best we can. And as I've said many times before on this channel, VV Insider is nothing without our sailor community. We can't be on board all of the time, and if you notice something that's changed or is slightly different, do reach out to us to let us know. The changes to the Gun Bay menu is something we actually found out from one of our sailor readers who got in touch with us to let us know that our menu was wrong. And actually we looked further into it and it turns out it was very wrong indeed, and there was a brand new menu. We're currently working with our connections to see if we can get early sight of these changes, but sometimes it's just not possible. So do let us know if you notice something that's a little bit off kilter on our website, and we'll make sure that we get that fixed and make it as up to date as possible. Moving on to our penultimate top topic. Topic number 2 is all about the happenings cast on board. VV Insider are well known now for bringing you all the information about the new happenings cast that are joining every single ship. If you're not familiar with the happenings cast, this is the cast of people that replace the traditional cruise director and cruise staff on board the ship, because as we know, Virgin Voyages like to do things a little differently. So in this cast of characters, that's where you have the hostess, which is an incredible vocalist and hosts many of the largest parties on board the ships, including the Sail Away Party, PJ Party, and she transforms into the octopus goddess for Scarlet Night. You also have the Diva, which is the resident drag queen on board, and she has her own shows on each of the ships. You have, of course, the Foodie, which hosts the food and drink related activities on board. The Artist, who hosts arts and crafts activities. The Balancer, who hosts more of the physical activities and workout classes, as well as a host of many other cast members who host events dance and sing their way through your voyage. The happenings cast traditionally switch out around every 6 months on each of the ships, and each time it's a brand new set of faces to get to know before you voyage. And we know sailors like yourself like to know what to expect when you head on board, and sometimes it's nice to see if there are familiar faces. Say you sailed before and there's a particular cast member that you really enjoyed, are they going to be on board your next sailing? So our happenings cast articles are designed to do exactly that, give you a sense of what to expect. It also enables you to follow them on social media as well if you want to know more about them before you head on board. And this year, our articles introducing the new happenings members on board each of the ships totaled over 75,000 page views. That is a huge amount of people planning ahead and wanting to see if there are familiar faces on board their next sailing. As I said, it's something that we're very known for here at VV Insider, so we're going to keep up the good work as we head into the new year. But I'm interested, is there a particular face that you look out for when you see these happenings cast articles go up? Do you have a favorite happenings cast member that you're always wishing is on board? Let me know in the comments who that is. Now, before I reveal topic number 1, what the most talked about thing about Virgin Voyages this year has been, let me just pause here to ask you a quick favor and just double check now if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet. Please go ahead and click subscribe. It will do us the world of good in getting this information out to as many sailors as possible before they head on board. And if you're thinking of heading on board in 2026 or beyond, and you're still yet to make those plans, then do head over to vvinsider.com/book, where we can make sure we give you all the best discounts and perks that we possibly can for your next booking. It also helps support the work that we do here at VV Insider, and we would very, very much appreciate it. Okay, so we're on to the big one. This should come as no surprise to anyone that has been following Virgin Voyages this year. And the number one most talked about topic on vvinsider.com was the launch of Brilliant Lady. This is Virgin Voyages' 4th and most current lady ship. Her launch had been delayed for nearly 2 years, and it was such a privilege to be along on Brilliant Lady's launch earlier this year. As we've been covering all of the updates ready for Brilliant Lady, including the changes to some of the spaces on board, as well as their fantastic new entertainment that's on Brilliant Lady, it was a real honor to be on board Brilliant Lady as she sailed from Portsmouth to New York City to prepare for her mermaiden voyage. Not only was it fantastic to see Brilliant Lady's brand new spaces, including a newly designed roundabout, which in our opinion by far exceeds the standard design or the original design of the roundabout. This is a really lovely area with lots more seating options, many more views out to the sea, and generally a much more chilled and laid back vibe. We love the new roundabout on Brilliant Lady. She also has a brand new looking athletic club deck as well, with the removal of large seating around the perimeter of the deck, which means that we can look straight out onto the scenery now. We know in particular from our readers that this change is very, very welcome indeed. And then of course we can't forget one of the largest changes on the ship, which is the brand new restaurant. So Razzle Dazzle was replaced by Rojo by Razzle Dazzle, which is a Spanish themed restaurant. Personally for me, the food in Rojo by Razzle Dazzle is absolutely incredible. I still dream about the Basque cheesecake and I can't wait to try it again when I get on board next year. We also saw the introduction of the brand new entertainment that's available on Brilliant Lady, including the new dinner show Up With a Twist, and the 2 headline shows, which includes Out of Time that launched during her New York mermaiden season, and Red Hot, which launched during the Miami mermaiden season. This all-new entertainment has been received incredibly well with sailors around the world. And our comments both on the website and on YouTube as well have been absolutely glowing about the new entertainment on Brilliant Lady, which is just a testament to both the production and the cast that go into bringing these shows to life. So as I say, Brilliant Lady launched back in September this year, but just before she launched, there was a big party in New York Harbor that we were very privileged to be part of, where Richard Branson himself showed up and led a choir of all of us singing Queen's Don't Stop Me Now. This was an absolutely unforgettable moment and we're so privileged to have been there in person. It really was spectacular. Now, of course, it does beg the question of what do they mean by Don't Stop Me Now. And that, of course, leads on to our conversation about what is next for Virgin Voyages. Here at vvinsider.com, we've always got our ear to the ground to hear what's coming up next for Virgin Voyages. But I'd love to hear what your opinion is. What do you think is going to come next from the brand? There has been some huge speculation about new ships and what that could mean. But looking a little bit closer and in the near future, Valiant Lady is due for a dry dock in summer next year. And if there's one thing we can be pretty confident about, it's that Razzle Dazzle will be replaced by a brand new concept of Razzle Dazzle. So of course on Scarlet Lady back in 2024, she got Lucky Lotus by Razzle Dazzle, which was an Asian themed restaurant. And then this year, Rojo by Razzle Dazzle launched on Brilliant Lady, which is a Spanish themed restaurant. So what do we expect to see for Valiant Lady when she comes out of dry dock? And also, do we expect to see any of those other changes that we saw on Brilliant Lady, like the roundabout and the athletic club, come over to Valiant Lady? Or maybe there's some other changes in store that'll be very interesting to see indeed. And of course, if there's one thing that we can be sure on in the world of Virgin Voyages, is that you can't be sure about anything, and things change all the time. So if you want to keep up to date with all of the changes across the brand, then do head over to vvinsider.com. There you can subscribe to our email newsletter and we'll let you know when anything changes and all that exciting news. And that goes on top of you subscribing here on our YouTube channel. And speaking of YouTube, let's have a quick bonus round about what our top 3 videos this year were all about. So coming in at number 3, we were talking about all the changes when it came to Brilliant Lady in a video called Everything New with Brilliant Lady. So if you're sailing on her in 2026, why don't you head over to that video to see what to expect? Coming up a very close number 2 is our ultimate guide to Scarlet Night. So in this video, we talk about Virgin Voyages' exclusive red party, Scarlet Night, where everyone dresses in red. I tell you all the top tips, and I even talk you through what my Scarlet Night outfit is all about as well. And then finally, our top video this year was actually my first video on this channel back in March, which was a video all about how to save money on drinks. So in that video, I go through some top tips on how to shave off those few extra dollars on your bar tab when you go on board the Virgin Voyages ships. It's very easy to see why that's our number 1 video. Who doesn't want to save money, especially on drinks, when you go on vacation? I do know that that particular video needs a little update because of Voyage Fare choices. So watch out in the new year. Make sure that you stay subscribed, and I'll be producing a brand new video on how to save even more money on drinks on Virgin Voyages in 2026. So that's it. That's all your Virgin Voyages news for 2025. All wrapped up. We have a couple more videos coming before the end of the year, so stay tuned for those. But again, if you'd like to support the work that we do here at vvinsider.com, which is to get this information, guides and news about Virgin Voyages out there for everyone for free, then please help us out by going ahead and booking your next Virgin Voyage with us. It doesn't cost you any more, and you're making your booking securely on the virginvoyages.com website. You simply need to visit our website first and click a link. That's all you need to do, and we can give you all those perks and you support us in the process. It's really, really easy. For anything more complicated, like if you want us to dig down and make sure you can stack all your discounts up and save the most money possible, you can send us an inquiry and we can do some of the legwork for you as well. It's always worth asking us before you decide to book direct. So please get in touch. So I'll be back with you next Saturday with a new insider update. But until then, happy sailing.